From the mountains to the valleys, from the desert to the ocean, and all the ships at sea. Today is Friday, June 5th, 2020, and you're listening to What Just Happened, Project Wasabi's brief recap of important events from around the world. This podcast is about 7.5 minutes long. And as today is June 5th, the staff of What Just Happened wishes our friends in Denmark a happy Constitution Day. In national news, the American Civil Liberties Union has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and William Barr regarding Trump's recent photo op in which he wordlessly held up a Bible in front of St. John's Church. The lawsuit alleges that the use of chemical irritants to clear the streets, quote, violated the protesters' First and Fourth Amendment rights, as well as engaged in a conspiracy to deny those rights, unquote. The ACLU is seeking an order barring the administration from engaging in such acts in the future. More as this story develops. On a somber note, coronavirus vigil. According to Johns Hopkins University, as of this morning, June 5th, 2020, just in the United States alone, we have lost a total of 108,211 innocent souls, over 1,000 of whom 1,020 human lives dead in 24 hours. Over a week after Derek Chauvin squished the life out of his handcuffed victim George Floyd, all across the country, demonstrations show no sign of letting up. Here in Los Angeles, recent protests have been mostly peaceful throughout the Southland. There were no curfew violations last night because here in LA there was no curfew. At least some protesters were out to actively demonstrate for peaceful relations among this rainbow of races calling Southern California home. But sadly, not all are non-violent. Last night, about 10:05 p.m. near LA City Hall, a drive-by shooter shot and killed one man and critically injured another. LAPD is tight-lipped, and there's no word on a motive in the shooting or whether it was gang-related. There's also no description of the suspects or the vehicle, and no evidence to suggest any connection to last night's protests. More as the story continues. This day in history, indeed a sad day in history, June 5th, 1968, 52 years ago today, presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy is assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. As candidates typically do, Bobby Kennedy had just shaken hands with several people. Then, just after glad-handing busboy Juan Romero, Bobby Kennedy was shot 3 times, and as the senator collapsed to the floor, former NFL player Rosie Greer and others wrestled the assassin to the ground. As Juan Romero also dropped to his knees, he cradled Kennedy's head and placed the rosary in his hand. Disoriented as he lay bleeding out, Kennedy asked Romero, "Is everyone okay?" Romero responded, "Yes, everybody's okay." Kennedy then turned away from Romero, saying, "Everything's going to be okay." After several minutes, medical attendants arrived and lifted the senator onto a stretcher, prompting Kennedy to whisper, "Don't lift me," which were Bobby Kennedy's final words. About 7,500 miles east, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered a state of emergency in the Siberian city of Norilsk after 20,000 tons of diesel fuel from a nearby power station spilled into a nearby river. Environmental groups describe catastrophic damage and say the level of contaminants in nearby waterways has increased tens of thousands of times over. The power station's employees initially tried to contain the spill on their own, waiting 2 days before reporting it. The parent of the energy company said the foundation of a fuel storage tank possibly sank due to fine permafrost, highlighting an often overlooked danger the climate crisis poses to Arctic infrastructure and ecosystems. Do you throw out stuff in the toilet when you should be using your trash? LA Department of Water and Power, LA DWA, says be careful what you flush. The California State Water Board warns that anything other than toilet paper, even wipes labeled flushable, will, quote, clog sewers and cause backups at wastewater treatment facilities, creating an additional public health risk amid the coronavirus pandemic, unquote. Similar warnings from all over, including Columbus, Ohio, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Denver, Colorado, and London, England. For example, in October of 2018, a large mound of disposable wipes clogged the sewers of Charleston, South Carolina, disrupting service for days and costing the local water utility and its customers more than $140,000 in damage and cleanup costs. So, in a perfect world, let's all do what we can to keep our local sewage systems up and running. If things look bad now, just imagine trying to get by without a toilet. On a more pleasant note, happy birthday wishes are in order to American saxophonist, songwriter, and producer Kenny G, who turns 64. Also, American actor, producer, model, and rapper Mark Wahlberg turns 49. On behalf of What Just Happened, happy birthday, gentlemen. LA weather. Today, more clouds with temperatures in the mid-70s this afternoon and a slight chance of sprinkles early Saturday morning around 6 a.m. About the same tomorrow, mild weather with cool clouds throughout the day, mid-70s Saturday afternoon. Personally, I'll enjoy the cool weather while it lasts. A heating trend starts Sunday, highs in the upper 70s. Temperatures increasingly warmer each day thereafter, and by Wednesday, afternoon highs could be in the mid-90s. A tiny bit of hope out of New York, who's experienced its first 24-hour period with 0 coronavirus deaths reported. Need a pleasant break from reality? Even if only for a few minutes. ProjectWasabi.com is completely legal, free of charge, and safe for the environment. Theater of the Mind, spoken word audio podcasts feature non-fiction documentary content, as well as classic TV cop shows converted to old-school radio drama. Titles include Columbo, Law and Order, and Dragnet, to name just a few. All content is completely free of charge, with stories promoting compassion and wholesome values. The good guys always win, and except where otherwise noted, all titles are family-friendly and safe for the workplace. You've been listening to What Just Happened, a service of ProjectWasabi.com. From Los Angeles, California, podcasting daily at 12 noon on the websites Facebook, YouTube, and Podomatic. What Just Happened is a brief recap of significant events from around the world. On behalf of What Just Happened and its parent company, ProjectWasabi.com, this is Brian Newberry saying thanks for listening, stay healthy, y salud, and we'll talk to you soon.